Hello, 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 and welcome back to the Break Room. I am Dr. Nikki Coleman, and the Break Room is a podcast about Black mental wellness in the corporate space. And I am here with my illustrious co-hosts.
Hello, hello, hello. It's Dr. Olajide Bamishigbin. Hope you're all doing well. I'm a health psychologist. What else? Oh, and I'm married and have 2 kids. And I'm really excited to be here today to talk about what we're going to talk about.
2 adorable kids. 2 adorable kids, just sweet, sweet boys. And so if you are
with the grandparents right now.
Oh my gosh, that's the best. That is the best. I got a chance to take my mom and my daughter. So I'm a child of divorce, so primarily grew up with a single parent, and I'm an only child. And I am a full-time single parent and raising an only child. So I called them my old ladies because my mother is 77. I'm blessed that she is still around and healthy for the most part. And then my daughter is 10, going on 77. So I call them my old ladies. And I mean, it's real, G. They gossip like old ladies. They argue like old ladies. They hang out and watch TV and stay up late and do. They got a whole.
Watching the heat of night.
It would be so funny if they did.
General Hospital.
Now they do watch soaps, but that's all. So we digress. And so
that's a whole other conversation.
It is. Got to take them on vacation 2 weeks ago, so we took a little hiatus from recording for that, and I appreciate y'all for letting me do that. We had a good time. And now we're back at it. And so for those of you who are maybe joining the Break Room for the first time, we're going to always start off our episodes with the tea, because again, we're in the break room. We want to get a little sip of something to give us a little something to wet our whistles. Today, I think Jide is going to start us off with the tea, which is a key to me.
All right. I'm ready. So, Elon Musk, is one of the worst people out right now. I want them to put out some good people soon, because he's one of the worst, a song out, he's one of the worst people out right now. If he was in the movies, he'd have 1% Rotten Tomatoes. He's awful. He's absolutely awful.
I saw a TikTok and this guy was like, okay, can we acknowledge that Elon Musk is one bad day away from becoming a supervillain? He's literally, he's like Lex Luthor waiting to happen. Mr. Glass waiting to happen.
He is awful. He's trying to buy Twitter. He's clearly trying to back out now because of whatever. Just all this stuff. But that's not even what we're getting started talking about. But he is the worst person. He's the worst person. For lots of others, there's racism at his factories. He had to pay off a lawsuit because he was sexually harassing people on planes and sexually assaulting people. Just whatever, right? Or not a lawsuit, a settlement. Sorry, a settlement. So recently, it came out that his daughter is transgender, is a transgender individual, and she recently changed her name to Vivian from the previous name that she had for reasons due to gender identity. That's what she pointed out in her official statements. Yes, but also the reason was she wants no relation to her biological father. She does not want to be associated with him. She does not want to be related to this man in any kind of way. And that's such a and especially as a dad. I'm a dad, right? That is, I can't imagine my child saying, I don't want ish to do with you. You would think that would make you reevaluate, what did I do? What did I do wrong?
Not him, but that baby said, I don't know that man. I don't have nothing to do with him.
I don't know her.
Exactly. You have to be
just like Mariah Carey.
Yes, I don't know her. You gotta be a pretty shitty human being for your child. How old is the daughter? Is she a teenager or?
I think probably late teens, early 20s.
Yeah, I'm done, sir.
And he's awful. And in fairness, he's awful. Like, he's awful. Did you hear recently also? So some people at SpaceX, one of his companies, right, wrote an open letter saying, like, listen, like, this man's antics is messing with the company. Like, cut it out. Tell him to cut it out. He needs to not be the head of the company. Fired. All the employees on the letter fired. But doesn't he care about free speech and open speech, right? Isn't that his whole thing? Like, no, people should be able to say what they want, right?
As long as it's him saying foolish.
White South Africans.
Oh my God.
Or white people from South Africa, because he's not a South African. White people in South Africa.
Oh, I never knew.
You know, his father owned an emerald mine. His father owned an emerald mine in South Africa. That should tell you everything you need to know.
How did I not know that? Really, I try not to get too much into white people business, more so than I have to. I didn't know that. I really don't. I didn't know that. That explains so much.
It explains a lot. Once you know he's from South African, or a white person who was born in South Africa, because he is not South African. That, to be clear. Very clear.
Some people with that amount of money and means and access, they really live so disconnected from reality. Like his universe is not the same as the universe you and I live in. It's just a very, very different one. And it's interesting to me, you know, there was stuff going around social media. I think it was last year. It might have been the first year of the pandemic, with Kellyanne Conway's daughter, putting her on blast and talking about her, and like had videotapes of her. Just awful people. Like, and so I think what I take away from it is that something is happening in the greater consciousness, that their children want to be divested from that, right? That their children are like, oh no, you really are a horrible person. And
you're really awful.
You really are awful. I don't care that you gave birth to me. And that I have to live in this house, but I can't even pretend that you are not a horrible human being. So I wish her well. I'm sure.
Same.
I can't imagine he's going to change in any way, shape, or form in response to that.
Or take that well. I can imagine him retaliating against his child for that in some type of way.
Gross. That's horrible.
But you know, and you know, they've done studies on these kinds of these super billionaires. That sounds good. These billionaires, evil billionaires, evil masterminds, and they, you know, they're high on the dark triad traits. Like, seriously, no joke. You know, like, they're high on the narcissism, you know, and the antisocial.
They have lots of traits of psychopaths.
And not to pathologize.
They just have traits of psychopaths, straight up.
And that explains their behavior.
Exactly. All psychopaths don't kill. Like, all psychopaths are not serial killers. All serial killers are psychopaths, but not all psychopaths are serial killers.
Straight up.
So, y'all, listen. I used to work with somebody, and I used to say all the time, when they find those body parts in the freezer, interview me, because I will say I knew it all along. I would not be the neighbor. I would not be the colleague. I had no clue.
Dr. Nikki, that's enough. That's enough. That's enough.
Some of these people, they don't have no soul, do they? You walking around.
It's true.
Like normal.
It's true.
And I know
it's true.
I know that
it's a sad truth.
Oh my gosh! Well, we
have not assessed Elon Musk. We have not done any assessments on this
because I am a therapist, and Jide is a psychologist. We're not your psychologists. Let's always remember that. Nor are we Elon Musk psychologists. Could you imagine? Being a therapist to somebody with that much?
They would never have a therapist. So it's so hard to imagine.
I bet they have life coaches, though. I bet they have life coaches and spiritual gurus. I bet they do.
Who hustle them out of every cent. Yeah, always.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, good luck to you.
Yeah. Well, that's it. I just had to talk about my hatred for Elon Musk, because he's the worst person on earth. So I said it. All right. Okay. So our episode today is about something that we all have, you know, internally, externally, something that we need to respect that others have, you know, and it's something called a boundary. Okay, so I'm going to just pose this question to you. Dr. Nikki, what is a boundary?
Oh, gosh, I have so many.
Please, no, I know.
Talking about my child, trying to tell me how to parent my child. showing up at my house unannounced, talking about.
And you live in Texas, that'll get you.
Listen. Just if I have said that a topic or something is off limits or I'm not comfortable with that and you continue to persist, that's a boundary for me. My person, like, you have to be invited to touch my person, comment on my person. All of those things are also boundaries. Just so many things, like just a basic recognition that I am a whole human being, and you are one, and you don't fully understand everything that's going on with me. I don't fully understand everything going on with you, and we have to find some mutual way of engaging. And
we have to respect each other.
Yes. Yep.
That's a good way of putting it. I'm a person in my box. You're a person in your box. We have to live here together, right? You respect my box, I respect your box, right?
That's it. That is it. Who doesn't do that, Jide? Who struggles with that?
Let me see what word I want to choose. Colonizers. I'd say colonizers are the people who don't respect boundaries, right? Because they believe they're entitled to your boundary, right? They're entitled to your box. They're entitled to your space.
100%. Yeah, because they own everything.
They
could potentially own everything, right? With enough access, all of that.
I feel like boundary respect has gotten worse since 45 was elected also. I'm sorry. Like I feel like 2016 to now has seen a time where people are just like, oh, boundaries? I don't have to respect them. Our highest person doesn't have to respect boundaries. He can say and do whatever he wants. So why should I?
That's true. I do think he gave like blank permission for people to say whatever the hell they wanted to say. I think he gave permission for people to say things out loud they have been thinking for a very, very long time, right? That was not new, but now it is all out in the open. And then the other part, though, today is like, I feel like that sense of emboldenedness has sort of created its own momentum, right? So like, they're like, it's kind of like, you put your toe in the water and you're like, oh, that's not too bad. Okay, well, let me go ahead and get up to my knees. And now I feel like they just swimming in the deep end. Like they just like.
Yep. It's what does a boundary look like in the workplace?
Oh, that's so fraught, right? Because part of what happens is, in my experience, is that Black folks in particular, but I would say generally people of color, are otherized to begin with, right? There's always an inherent sort of, oh, you're here, right? Can you hear me? Something happened.
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, you're good.
Hear myself? I don't know what happened. Am I back?
Yep, I can hear you.
Oh, there it is. I must have a short in my mic. Sorry about that, guys.
No.
I know what it is. These are Bluetooth headphones, and they're smarter than they think they are. And I think they went to sleep. Sorry about that, you guys. I think there's so the sort of inherent otherizing, right? That happens, and so I think people of color's boundaries as people get violated, right? As a baseline at work, but also one of the things I'm trying to think about how I would even label this, but like this need to CC other people, right? Like this idea like I'm gonna get you in trouble, or like me and you can't have a conversation directly on our own. I got to bring other people into it. That to me feels like a boundary violation, right? So I need to, I'm going to get other people's eyes on you to either shame you or put you in line or just put you on blast or something. I know that happens a lot.
Can I piggyback on that point really quickly?
Yeah.
So I was just reading a study about this, and I don't think anything I'm going to say is new. But the problem is that Black people stay unemployed longer, so they get hired with less trust, and then they're monitored more, so that any mistakes that they make are more easily caught and blown up, right? In comparison to white people who aren't monitored, who also make mistakes, to be clear, right? But they're either not noticed or given kind of an excuse or type of understanding, and then that leads to them being dismissed or fired more. So then they're unemployed more, and then the cycle continues, right? So I'm just thinking about kind of that seeing people like, I'm like a snitch tag. That's what you call it, right? I'm snitch tagging, right? That's a form of that monitoring, right? Because I don't actually trust your Black ass to do your job.
They never trust us to do our job. And they feel empowered to tell us that we're wrong in doing our job. How about you mind your business? How about you worry about your job? And let me worry about mine. I think that's a boundary violation. I think
I agree.
I also just saw where the city of Austin passed the Crown Act. So it's, I think, one of the first cities in Texas or something like that to pass it. First of all, I have really strong feelings about the Crown Act. Like, if you want to argue that racism doesn't exist, the fact that Black women's hair has to be legislated tells the whole freaking story. But
it says everything.
It says everything, right? But that's a boundary. I know so many Black women in the workplace who just have their bodies touched, their hair touched, commented on their hair. I will never forget. I was finishing up my doctoral program. I was going on interviews for internship, which is when you're counseling clinical school psychology, you have to do a pre-doctoral internship. This whole matching process. Think about it like medical residency. And I was on an interview, and the woman spent, like, maybe we had 30 minutes together. She spent 15 minutes at least talking about my hair. What?
Excuse me?
15
in a job interview?
For internship. I am a graduate student trying to get an internship at this counseling center. And she talked about my hair. About how I did it, how was it so shiny, how long does it take? And I'm 26 years old, and I'm like, this does not feel normal. She can't possibly want to talk to me about my hair. How am I supposed to handle this? I don't know what I'm supposed to do.
Dr. Tressie McMillan Cotton, who's one of my absolute favorite people to follow on Twitter, has talked about like this kind of thing, because she says when white women do this, it's all theater. Okay, the whole thing is theater and to make a show. Like for them, because lots of times they'll be asking questions about things like weave, and it's like, white women get hair extensions. Why are you trying to act like you don't freaking understand what we're talking about here? There's nothing that you can do with my hair that you can't be done with your hair. You know what all this is. No. You know what everything is, right? But it's all theater. Oh, is it this? Oh, is it that? Oh my God. It's all.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And what can I say, Jide? What can I say? I'm on internship interviews. What am I supposed to say?
Internship interviews.
Because I need this internship to get this degree, right? I've gone to school for 6 years, and this is one of the last two things, the dissertation and this.
So if you're in an interview and you say, can we just talk about the interview? Then you're you're nasty, right?
Yeah. Oh, then
you're hostile.
Foolishness. That's a boundary, right? Comments about the hair, questions about the hair, touching the hair. That is a boundary. So many just assumptions. Also, talking over people, right? Like, how often does that happen in meetings? So I think all of those are actual boundary violations, expectations about your life outside of work, and your responsiveness to work stuff. I know I experienced that a lot as a parent, where, oh, you can't get it done this weekend? No, because I want to be at home with my child. Like,
right.
The 3-year-old does not care that you want feedback on this paper. She don't care. So I think it shows up in so many ways at work. I think actually a lot of being a good, air quotes, right? A good employee is around navigating boundary violations.
Mm-hmm. So I was gonna talk to you about that because I feel like for myself, I have become not good at enforcing my boundaries across my over my life.
Really?
Just because I feel like as a Black person and a Black man, right? If I responded how I actually wanted to respond to some of the stuff y'all say to me, some of the stuff y'all do to me, or did. And I'm not even saying that like with hyperbole. Like I really have a serious fear of me saying something and it escalating to the point, and then next thing I know, like my children is fatherless and my wife is husbandless. So lots of times I do that calculation of, is this worth it? Is this worth my job? Right? Like if I say something about this, I could lose my job. Is this worth my job? Nothing is worth my job because I have kids, I have a family that I have to support, right? So it's really like how do you set these boundaries?
Yeah.
Rephrase. Because I think we. So before you go, sorry. Yeah. I think we know what our boundaries are, and we do set them. How do we hold firm to them? And how do we push back on people when they're, trying it? Let me rephrase that. Sorry to interrupt, but I feel like I questioned it wrong the first way.
No. So what I talk about with my clients about boundaries is I talk about asserting and maintaining, because there are two parts. First is the asserting. And second is the maintaining. And really the maintaining is the harder part. Because like Rick James, people are habitual line steppers, right?
Love it.
Habitual line steppers, right? And that's where the maintenance. So what I talk about is to keep things as behavioral or objective as possible. When X happens, Y is the result. Or when you do X, I would prefer you do Y, right? Like just keep it real simple and behavioral. And then when it's time to maintain or reaffirm the boundaries, I just say this, like, be a broken record. Like it's almost like not almost, it really is behavioral reinforcement. You just keep saying the same thing over and over again. And that's not to say that it's not difficult, right? Because you're like, I know you're not coming back again. Why are you CCing, right? So every time you get CC'd on something, to respond directly to the other person, right? Take off the CC and directly. So you have to keep, and you're like, and you keep adding these people back. Why are we here again? And so it is frustrating. It is annoying. It sometimes can even be time consuming. It can be emotionally draining. But once you let them step over the line, that's why what do you say? Give you an inch, you take a mile. That's the sort of idea around boundaries. So I tend to be, I can be kind of frosty in the beginning for that reason. So especially in professional relationships, I'm going to come and I'm going to smile and I'm going to be congenial, but I'm not going to give up a whole lot of myself, right? I'm not going to be really engaging. That's my approach, because I don't want you to get too comfortable. Because the thing I know about colonizers is they will take a seat. They will take a seat and leave you standing and then have a conversation with you in your office with you standing looking at them like, can I help you? Why are you at my cubicle? So
that is absolutely true.
I know of what I
Hey, pal, you got a minute? Like, and you don't even give you a chance to respond to say, no, actually, I don't have a minute. Yeah.
And so that's why I tend to be kind of frosty at the beginning, because I don't want you to get too comfortable, because I know that you will. And so then, I also always try to use humor as a first line of defense. And then secondarily, I try to sort of rephrase whatever it is sort of in a question, right? So I try to give it back to them. So, and then I'm going to always reassert my boundaries. It's hard work. This is why being a Black person in a corporate space, professional setting, it is double work because we have to do all of these maneuverings and strategizing and thinking about our tone and not getting too loud and making sure we approach it at the right time. All of that extra is what is what wears you down, right? That is it. But Jide, here's the thing. Either you do it out, right? So either you assert the boundary and you say the thing, or you hold it in. It's a sense of discomfort one way or the other. And I think you do have to choose if you have time today or not, because sometimes you just don't have the emotional bandwidth or the interest. Like you really don't care about that person or that situation enough to get into it. But in those moments or in those relationships in which you will have sustained interaction with the person, or that relationship is particularly significant for your work, I think it's important to sort of get clarity about the boundaries. One last thing I'm gonna say: the other inherently, systemically toxic thing about corporate spaces is there's never time to talk about the relationship or the process. It's all of the settings and structures are around getting the work done, but we know that there are so many interpersonal, cultural, psychological things that are happening in the process thereof. So I do want to acknowledge that. Sometimes I think even making the time to set aside to talk about the boundary violation or the whatever the thing is, it requires extra work on your part to begin with. Because it's not going to come up in your regular one-on-one. It's not going to come up in your debrief. Certain things you don't want to put in email. So you're going to have to figuring out the time to do it and have the conversation is also a part of the work.
That's hard. And I think that, just on top of it, like there's also, obviously there's the racial element of it, right? There's a gendered element of it, right? When I feel like somebody said something to me and I'm like, well, I don't know how to respond to this. Like, 'cause this is a guy, I might respond like, "Nigga, don't try me." You know what I'm saying? But I can't like that. There's an age aspect too, right? Because we've also been raised to respect our elders in a certain way. They ask us to do something, they've been through so much, just shut up and do it, right? But like that's also can get kind of dicey. I think what you're saying to me is,
Jide, let me interrupt you.
Please.
That elder thing caused me some problems because it caused me some problems because I would have the internal tension of like, it's almost like a socialization, right? To respect your elders. But then when I would have interactions with white folks in the workplace, I'd be like, but I don't see you as an elder, right? An elder has earned some privilege. But I've been socialized to sort of see the age and associate it with a certain reaction. And sometimes they caught me slipping. I'll never forget this white woman that was faculty in a different department, but on the same floor as me, whistled at me and told me to keep it down.
No, hell no. Absolutely not. Hell no. Hell no. Hell no. Hell no.
The act.
Hell no. I would have sprayed that bitch up. No.
And so
no. And I mean the whole office. I would spray the whole office out. No.
And this is why I always remember it, because I was so shocked. I didn't respond. I literally froze because my only reaction was to run up on her and punch her in her mouth.
Like New York did the pumpkin flavor of love, right? Yeah.
Yes. And I remember it, like, I literally was like startled almost, like, wait, what? And I was like, you can't do this at work. And then for the rest of the day, I was like, she punked me. She whistled at me and she punked me. I don't know what to do in this situation. Because of that elder thing, right? That we got to really rethink how we give respect to certain people. I think there's one thing I will say about younger millennials and Gen Z folks that that generation is really more about the earned relationship and not the role.
Oh, they don't play. They don't play.
No,
they don't play at all.
A different version of me would have cussed her straight up, would have ran up on her in her office. So yeah.
She whistled at you?
from her desk and told me to keep. She was in her office with the door open, and I was in the hallway having a conversation. So
she does not know
she didn't
how close she came to death.
It's that she didn't even choose to get up and close her door. Like, she just thought to police me from her desk. I was in the hallway talking to a student, and she whistled from her.
Nah, man. Nah.
Yeah.
That's nah.
I'll never forget it. Because she punked me. She did. She punked
me. But you're saying that. I can't even lie to you. Like, I'm having still a visceral reaction to that. Like, I'm still like, I can't believe she said that to you. I can't say I would have said anything though. Part of me is gonna go, I can't believe she said that to me.
Because what can you say besides?
And they're gonna say, no, you need to say something.
Your mind? Like literally, what came up in my mind was, who the fuck you whistling at?
Right.
But I was a first year assistant professor. I didn't get any training about how to handle situations like that. And I froze. To this day, if I see her out in the street, don't cuss her out.
I think the thing is that, and it's what you're getting at, like through everything that you said in all your examples, is that it is risky. Like so enforcing your boundary, maintaining your boundary does not come without risk. Like don't make no mistake, it does not come without risk. So you do have to do that calculation to determine if it's worth it or not, right? But at a certain point, like you pride, like the person you are inside, right? Like your dignity, right? Your integrity. There comes a point where you're like, I can't stand for this. I can't stand for this mess, yo. I can't stand for this. Somebody at work recently referred to me as intimidating. I don't know if you heard that story.
No, it ain't like you're not. Like, you're not intimidating. You ain't no punk, but you're
not intimidating at all.
Like, you're affable, dude. Like, amenable. You're congenial. These are all adjectives I would use for you.
The reason why I was referred to this too was because I had given a presentation at work that went well. Okay. No, that's it. Like, I gave a presentation at work, and people emailed me after. That was so good. That was so great.
First of all,
thanks. I learned so much. I get in a meeting with a person, and they say, I think so-and-so might have been intimidated by your presentation. And like, people have been like, dog, you need to go to HR. Like, you have to say something. But I'm just like, it fills me with dread and anxiety, the thought of having to confront it.
Because it's always extra work. It's extra. It's extra. And you're just a black man that want to go to work, do your job, and come home and play.
That's it.
Little league with your kids. Like, you just want to hang out and play a video game with your children, eat some chicken, and go to bed. Like, it's just all you want to do.
That's all I want. Like, did you read my diary?
That's all I want to do. Shit is not that deep. But y'all won't let us. So let me tell you what happened to me. A student told me that one time, and I asked her dead in her eye, am I intimidating or are you intimidated? And those are two different positions. And everybody in the room got real quiet. That did not help my case around being intimidating or not. Let me lean into it. Let me just go ahead, because the reality is, you can't control their perception.
It's true.
And you can't control their perception. And that is why I always will go very, very behavioral. Like, what could other people have observed? And I will typically use that as a question. So my response to that would have been so my organization preparation and synthesis was intimidating to somebody? Because what else are you commenting on? Just and tell me what I could have done differently that would have not been intimidating.
Also, I'm also in these situations. Like, I did not even realize she said that to me, or this person said this to me, until a week later. How sometimes you just kind of go through the motions, just kind of stuff. I'm not it takes me a while to catch it and be like, hold on, wait a second. Like, I'll just wake up in the middle of the night and be like, hold on, she said this to me,
Yeah.
They said this to me because I just, it takes me a while. So then also like not addressing it in the moment, it feels weird too, right? Like, I envy you. I admire you.
Listen, hey, white people love a circle back. So listen, hey, can we circle back? So I would, you know, they love a circle back, Janae. That's why
they love a circle back. They love a circle. You're absolutely right.
I would just,
you're absolutely right.
Circle back. And even if you have to couch it in terms of, you know, whether it's the next step in this particular project or you're prepping for another presentation, I want to just circle back to, you know, a comment we had when we were debriefing my last presentation. You said something. Did I get that right? Tell me what that meant. Why would they have felt that way? The Columbo, like I'm play dumb. I don't quite get it. Make it make sense.
Yep. Yeah.
That is one of my go-to tactics. Again, it's exhausting because that's the other thing. Black folks, generally speaking, across the diaspora, we are fans of direct communication.
Research on this. This is research. Black communication style. Give it to me straight. Yes.
What is it? Like, you know, what you got to say, man? Just say it. Like, we just want to hear it. And they are socialized to do the exact opposite. They round the bend, obfuscate, using euphemisms, having incongruent body language with the words. They say all of that stuff. So we're having to learn to navigate that. And most of us get pretty conversant in it if we've made it to a certain level anyway, because we've been socialized. This is how you do it. But I find that in moments of high conflict, that is where the tension is felt the greatest, because we either have to lean way into their communication style, which is additional cognitive load for us,
or what's natural to us,
or we do what's natural to us, and then we're intimidating, scary, aggressive, problematic, not a team player, combative, all of the stuff. All of the stuff. Jide, you got to circle back.
You're right. I know. I know.
6 months in?
6-7 months, yeah. But you know, I've never been. You got to circle back and get into it. I'm so like I've never been an HR guy in my life. I've never been bring it up in my life. I'm just like, you know what? I'm gonna go home and talk to my wife about it. But like, I have to stand up for myself. Right? I have to. I absolutely have to.
Yeah. So, you know, my tactic is I'll have the conversation and then I'll follow up with an email. Just for clarity, thank you so much for your time. It's great to talk about blah, 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 blah. And I appreciated you being able to hear my perspective. Blah, blah, blah. I really heard your feedback about blah, 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 blah. I know we kind of left it unsettled, but blah, 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 blah. Thanks. I will email the hell out of some stuff.
Yeah. Teach me your ways. Yeah.
But this is why working for myself has been a part of my mental health plan. I know that there are people that navigate these situations better in the workspaces than I did. Let me say it this way: behaviorally, I could execute. Like as an advisor, my students learned to come to me to say, "How do I write this?" They called it nice nasty. How do I write this nice nasty email back, Dr. Coleman? What am I supposed to say? So I know how to do it, but just the emotional effort.
It's a lot.
It was a lot. It's a lot.
It's a lot.
It is. So we wish you well, young Jide.
Thank you. And to all the listeners out there, I'm sure that there's listeners who are closer to me who never stand up for themselves. I'm sure there are listeners who are closer to Nikki who's like, I'll check somebody. You know, if I got to check somebody, I'll check somebody. And I'm sure most of you are somewhere in the middle. So, you know, please email us with questions, contact us, shoot us anything. We'd love to continue this conversation.
We'd love to continue the conversation.
Yeah.
So what's our last nerve for the day, Jide?
So our last nerve
is you were going to talk about a little coon.
A raccoon. A little raccoon. All right. So, in the state of Georgia, Raphael Warnock, who is a black senator, who's a Democratic black senator, is going up against Herschel Walker. You know, it's so good. So, one thing about the 2010s and the 2000s that have been, I think, wild is the way that old heroes just show their asses completely. Okay, like people who we thought like, oh, you're cool, you respect, like you've accomplished something, you know, you're cool, have just shown themselves to just be
doo-doo.
Dookie, hot Dookie, okay? And who I'm talking about today, the person against Raphael Warnock is Herschel Walker, okay? So I remember growing up, my dad talked about Herschel Walker, just a great athlete, you know, like a great football player, but just overall athlete, flat out, could run, could do this, could do that, so respected. But he is a Trumper, okay? He's a hardcore Republican, he's a Trumper, and he's running for a senator for Raphael Warnock's position, seat. He's actually leaning, which is, I don't understand, you know, like, yeah, go ahead.
I know, I want you to say what you have to say, but also, Herschel, you don't have the cognitive chops to be a senator, a U.S. senator, you know it, sir.
You know this man brain look like Swiss cheese. You know.
Sir, stay in your lane. Just regardless of all the other politics, which is straight up coonery. But also, just
you can't do this, bro. You don't have the impulse control. You don't have the executive function to do this job.
You don't have the short-term memory. You don't have enough working memory. You don't have
none of it. Like, this man is about to be the first senator with CTE. All right, you know, the first senator with CTE. Don't make no sense. Chronic traumatic encephalopathy. That's the